you made the decision that you wanted to go. You said it was a nice experience in the queue. But why did you want to go? I mean, you're a young man. You know, we've talked about how this is a whole range of ages, but what appealed to you as a younger man to say, I need to pay my respects?
I think, to be honest, I was really sad to learn of Her Majesty passing away, and it really affected me emotionally more than I expected to. I think lots of people expected this sad news at some point. We'd been hearing about her health, and I was really upset. So that was the first thing. My instinct was I wanted to do something, and laying flowers, I went on the day that she passed away, I actually went to Buckingham Palace and laid some flowers, but it still didn't feel enough. So when I heard about the queue and the opportunity to see her laying in state, it to me was just, my instinct was I'm going. It wasn't even a question. But also my grandparents are, in fact, my whole family are very into the royal family. My nan met the Queen. She's a social worker when she came to Enfield. So I guess for me it was just a case of doing it for them as well, slightly, and everybody else in my family that maybe wouldn't be able to go and join the queue for various reasons.
Yeah, so it's nice that you felt you were representing your family as much as doing it for yourself, which is a really nice feeling, isn't it?
It was, and also we've got a brilliant family chat of all the cousins and aunties and uncles in, and so I was giving them updates on the queue, and I really did feel that I was representing my family. And, you know, in the queue, I can't believe how wonderful the experience was. You would think, you know, when you go to the airport and you queue for 2 hours through security, it seems like your worst nightmare. It ruins your holiday.
Yeah.
But this was a queue that, you know, I would do it all again. I met some wonderful people.
There are people who've done it twice or thrice.
Are there?
There's apparently a lady who's done it 6 times.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know if I would do it 6 times.
No.
I you know, the people I met, everyone was so kind. We were feeding one another. We were motivating one another. And it was almost like a trial and tribulation where some people were saying, I don't know if I can carry on. It was like, come on, you can do it. We've done 5 hours. You can do another 2. And it was actually very well organised, I have to say. The queue pretty much kept moving. It was a slow walk, passing London's landmarks. For me, I saw them lit up in the evening.
So you can't lean up against a wall and nod off?
Well, I think you probably could, but you don't want to miss your chance of getting your wristband, because a few people did get caught out by that, where they got in a... Because, of course, everywhere you went, there was just a queue, whether that was for a coffee, for the toilet, or to see Her Majesty. It was a queue, and a lot of people did suddenly get back to the queue and realise they didn't have a wristband. So my advice to any of your viewers who are going is, you know, make sure you get your wristband.
But that's the most important thing, isn't it? Because that more or less guarantees you a place in the end.
Well, it does say on it that it doesn't, but I should think it would be hard to be turned away. No, I did take it off, yeah.
Well, so what is it like when you, after all that queuing, and you finally turn that corner and are looking into Westminster Hall?
It's absolutely overwhelming, and it's an experience I will never, ever forget. I've been to Westminster Hall a few times as a child visiting Parliament and stuff, and it was just emotional. It was overwhelming. The atmosphere, it was completely silent. All you can hear is people's shoes on the steps.
Yes.
And the fact that Her Majesty the Queen is there peacefully with the candles, with all of the soldiers and the police and everybody around in just complete silence. It is a remarkable moment. I will never forget it. And actually, it's quite hard to find a word to describe it. I do think it is one of those scenarios where you've got to be there to feel it.
Are you by profession a florist? Because you brought in some absolutely gorgeous flowers.
I am, and they are for you, to say thank you for having me on.
Oh, how lovely. Oh, no, they're lovely. Well,
that's very, very kind.
There we go.
Look at the colours, absolutely.
I was going to ask, because
early.
we had a report yesterday talking about how florists have been actually running out of stock and things because there's been such a high demand.
Well, yes, I mean, I own a high street florist, and it's been an incredibly challenging week keeping up with the demand of customers, both because they want to take tributes to various places where they live and also into London, but also our suppliers have been overwhelmed.
Yes.
And so what you're finding is we're OK, people that want to take flowers for relation to the Queen are quite happy with any bunch of flowers. But then, of course, you've got our customers that specifically want certain flowers, and those are out of stock. But the frustrating element is they're probably sitting in another florist who's just giving them to somebody who's not too fussed about their flowers. So it's been a real challenge, and we take funerals very seriously, as you can imagine. We like those personality of the flowers to show in those arrangements. So it's been a real challenge. I've actually thoroughly enjoyed the challenge because I love a good challenge, but it's been a huge honour actually to do arrangements for people that are taking them to Buckingham Palace. You know, I think that's something for most of my staff will be, you know, a career highlight for them in a way.
It's interesting because you've done the thing that the Royal Gardeners would approve, which is you haven't used plastic, you've used paper.
Of course.
To wrap. And that too would degrade, because the royal head gardeners have been saying what a nightmare it is to deal with so much plastic.
Yeah, and I actually saw the volunteers taking the plastic off the flowers, and I actually think flowers look nicer without packaging, but that's another story.
Yeah.
If you get a choice, if you have a choice of flowers, what are, in your professional opinion, what are the best flowers to go for a royal funeral?
I think it's got to be white. I'm a big fan of white anyway in terms of flowers. I think, you know, white roses, Lysianthus. Her Majesty loved sort of her garden, so I would be trying to get, if the royal family came to me to do the flowers, I'd be trying to bring the garden into the flowers, definitely. And I think Her Majesty herself, she did love colour. Absolutely loved colour, and her outfits. I mean, have we ever seen the Queen not look gorgeous?
Yeah.
I mean, she's a fashion icon, and so I hope that element of her style and her personality is brought out of the flowers, because it's certainly possible.
It'll be very interesting to see what flowers are used at the Abbey tomorrow, won't it?
Yes,
it will be spectacular.
It will be. I would imagine very white.
Yes.
Right. But it's interesting because with a lot of the tributes that have been laid, obviously they're full of colour. But that's so nice, isn't it? Because it's that sense of celebration of her in that colour, which I just think is lovely.
Of course, and during the Platinum Jubilee, I was honoured. I got to light 2 beacons, which was amazing in my community where I live.
Oh,
and one of the lines when you read before you say, "We are one nation and one Commonwealth," and I think the Commonwealth is so important here because Her Majesty has absolutely championed it. And of course, the Commonwealth is such a colourful,
exotic flowers and things.
You know, part of the world, isn't it? It's all corners of the world. So I think we're going to see a lot of those tributes around the world.
And she will have planned it, won't she? Right down to the flowers, right down probably to the flowers in the wreath on her coffin. She will have been part of that planning process. It'll be her choice that we'll be seeing.
And she's got great style, so I'm sure that the style of the funeral will be nothing other than pure class.
What are you going to do tomorrow? How are you going to watch the funeral?
Well, I'm actually still debating what I do. I've got the opportunity to watch it locally on a screen in the church. I'm very tempted to go to London. I'm also very tempted to go to Windsor. My parents got married in Windsor, so I'm quite tempted to go there for nostalgia. And we were actually there not long ago, but I will definitely be a part of it one way or another. I love the idea of watching it on television, and of course you get the best view, but I know I can do that tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, look...
You're going to be shedding a tear.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be...
It's going to be a proper tearjerker.
Absolutely.
Really will be.